This is the Voyah Zhuiguang, or literally chasing the light. And it's a bit like my Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. It's great looking, it's got top of the specs, but it's just not selling in China. The whole design language, what they call an Asian creature called kunpeng, and it's a giant whale-like creature. It's got a huge mouth, and it's said that it can eat the whole earth and heaven. If you follow that language, you can see that's a big mouth down here, and there's the Voyah badge here, and there are several creases on top of the bonnet, and representing this badge as well. And you also have these whisker-like chrome trims down there, which looks pretty nice. And the car is 1.97 meters wide. It's a pretty big, impressive car. Now, before we continue, please make sure you click the like button and subscribe. If you actually want to buy this car, or actually any other Chinese makes, please get in contact. You may be surprised by what we can offer. Now, on the side, you have a 20-inch alloy wheels as standard. All of these wheel covers are metallic as well, and it actually goes with the color of the car. Now, if it's white or black, this will be black. There's also a blue version, and this wheel cover is in blue, and it looks really, really nice. On the side here, this whisker theme follows, and you have this pretty wide chrome trim here, and then you have a black skirt. Other than that, there's nothing really special on the side. On the back here, you have a sloping roof. One of the best features on this car, which is automatic spoiler. And this spoiler has two modes. You can have it on or off, or you can have it open and close at certain speeds. You have two feather-like braking lights, and that looks rather nice. And then you have also a light bar across, and then you have splitter down here. The problem with the boot is it actually has no physical buttons. So if you want to open the boot, you either have to use your key or open it inside. The boot itself is 426 liters. It's quite wide, the opening, and it goes pretty deep as well. You have various nets and tethering ports for your shopping. But the problem is you can't really fold down the rear seats because it's got other functions. But there is a through hatch, so if you want to put your ski in there, that's fine. Inside the car, I think is more actually impressive than outside. Now, everywhere you can feel and touch it, either covered by real Napa leather or these Alcantara or suede. And then in front of you is a weird shaped steering wheel. It's actually on the large side, which is quite nice to the touch. And in front of me, there are three screens. And this one, the driver display is 12.3 inch. The infotainment system, 12.3, and the one on the passenger side, you guessed it, 12.3. On the driver's seat, you can show the power you have, the mode that you're in, and then your range, and the battery left. And then on the infotainment system, you have all the controls in here. Now you have your satellite navigation, you have the car controls, you have your 360-degree camera. It's really smooth, and the screen is really crystal clear. It's pretty sunny day, but there is some glare, to be honest, if I look from the passenger side. But to me, this infotainment system and the driver display, there's no glare at all. There is a switch to switch on and off the passenger screen. If you're watching videos, you can also switch this to the center screen, and then you have your volume up and down on here. And down below, this is where you control your air conditioning, your seat settings as well. All of the seats from the back has got massage functions. They are all ventilated and heated, and all of these features comes as standard. When we talk about electric cars, I don't really like Tesla because there are all physical buttons, and this one gives you too many physical buttons. On the side here, if I count it, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 buttons. I mean, this is just unnecessary. This gear knob is in a round and pretty nice crystal shape. I really like it. And then you have your hazard light on here, you have your parking assistant on there. Down below you have a charging pad and kind of has a slope here, so if you put your phone in here, it's not gonna, you know, move around. And then you have two cup holders, and then you have a crystal like switch or knob for the armrest, and there is a storage space that goes really deep. And then down below, you have a gap because this is a electric car. There's no transmission, so you have a storage space down here as well, and then you have a USB charger port, a USB-C charger port as well. The seat itself, as you can see here, the center bit is made of suede and the side is nappa leather. Although it looks pretty sporty, it's really sportive. And this headrest as well, you can move this wings inside and out, up and down. I mean, that's really quite comfortable, and this is all electrically adjusted on the side, and you can also switch on the massage function, for example, using the buttons on the side. This sun visor here, most of the time I wouldn't talk about the sun visor, but this one is quite special. You have this kind of sunglass panel here. So normally if you fold down your sun visor, it blocks your view outside for a bit, but this one, there's nothing in front of you that blocks your view. But I have to say, they use the same feature for the passenger side, which is a bit unnecessary because they're not driving, they only need the sun blocked. And you also have a panoramic sunroof. Comes with two separate shades. They can be opened and closed separately. I'm now sitting in the back. This is supposed to be a executive saloon, sitting in the boss seat, or what they call it. Right, as you can see, tons of knee room. This car is 5.1 meters long, and the wheelbase is more than 3 meters. You have plenty of knee room. But if you're over 6 foot tall, because of the sloping roof, you may struggle a bit to sit really straight up. But why need you? Because you can actually lay down. This angle of the rear seat can be leaned back for about 40 degrees. There is a button that's specific for this seat, and it looks a bit like a camera. And if you press it, it switches off all the cameras and microphones in this car. So if you need a bit of privacy, you don't really trust these car manufacturer. In the middle here, I have a big armrest, and there's a little screen here. Now you can control the air conditioning, the seats, for example, ventilation and heating. You can control the shades, and then there is a button called one button down. The passenger seat moves further and it goes down, and my seat goes back up. Leg support as well. You can also move the leg support up and down, and also back of the seat backwards and forward as well, separately. There is a little storage place down here as well, and in here you have one USB-A charging port and one USB-C charging port. I think this is really convenient because lots of cars have their charging ports on the center armrest. I have the whole sun blind open, and look at this panoramic sunroof. This whole car sitting in the back feels really light and airy. I'm currently in comfort mode, driving a busy city road, but this car has two electric motors, one at the front, one at the back, and the one at the front has 160 kilowatts and the back 215, and altogether it has 375 kilowatts, or roughly 500 horsepower, 730 newton meters of torque. In sport mode, this car can go from 0 to 100 in just 3.8 seconds, and it also comes with air suspension as standard. At the beginning of the video, I was talking about this car is really like currently how Samsung is performing in China. It takes less than 1% of the mobile phone market, like this car, because the entry-level car costs 320,000 RMB, and that's roughly the same as a BYD Han EV, and it has similar range as well. So the entry level has a battery of 82 kilowatts and a range of more than 550 kilometers. The problem is people know about BYD because they have spent the last 20 years, building and selling cheap cars, and people know they have their own blade battery technology. When they put all these things together, their electric motors are built by themselves, the electric controls as well, and people have confidence in them. They have built their brand up through their 20-year history. This car, if you pay 30,000 more, you have the air suspension. At 420,000, you get a big battery pack, and it goes to 109, and that gives you 700 kilometers of range. But that puts this car directly into the competitive range of NIO ET7. The problem with that price range is NIO, as you all know, offers battery swap. So you can drive into any power station of NIO's and then it changes your battery for a brand new one in just under 5 minutes. NIO also has impeccable customer service. Basically, anything you want, they offer. They have their own coffee shop. You can go there if you're a car owner and drink your coffee for free. They organizes different events week on week. For this car, the Voyah Zhuiguang or Chasing the Light, I'm just not sure what they actually stand out. I think the problem for any other car right now, not just Chinese makes, but the likes of Mercedes and Audi and BMW and any other foreign brands as well. The problem is they are so competitive in the current Chinese EV market. Apart from the brand, what unique selling point do you actually have? If there isn't any, then it's not going to sell. Back to this car, I'm currently in comfort mode. I quite like the ride quality is really smooth and serene. I think people sitting in the back, the boss is going to be quite comfortable sitting there. But let's find a bit of empty road and try out the acceleration of this car. Now, currently in the sport mode, the suspension itself is a little bit harder, but really not that much different. But the power, I have kind of unleashed all the 500 horsepower with these two electric motors. The acceleration pedal, I was going to say gas, but actually there's no fossil fuel in here. The pedal itself becomes really sensitive. Now, just a little touch and the car goes. If you're driving in a busy city road like I am right now, I don't really recommend you on this sport mode because it's quite jumpy, to be honest. But once you find a little bit of open road, and this car just goes. Wow, with a 3.9 second of acceleration time, it really needs a good braking system, and this car has a braking record of 33.8 meters from 100 kilometers, so that's quite impressive, to be honest. I am on the sport mode, but the steering wheel itself is still quite light, but it's really accurate and there's not really much room for you, so wherever you want to go, it just goes. Now, I've had this car for a day or so, and to me, it's a bit confused. Now, it wants to be sporty, so it gives it four-wheel drive and 3.9 seconds of 0 to 100 acceleration time. But it also wants to be executive, so the back seat, well, actually the boss seat, you can sit in a really comfortable position. You can also move the passenger seat forward, but it's kind of stuck in between. I think this car needs to pick its own spot. If you want to be sporty, then take away all the executive beats and then give it frameless doors, give it a bigger wing, for example. And if you want to be executive, then one thing is give it a bit more comfortable seat, because the current seats in there are quite sporty. Now, like I said, for all other manufacturers, now, the Chinese market is big, but is ultra competitive. If there's no unique selling point, your car's not going to sell. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe.